What do you do when your boss seems to have a bias against you and treats you differently than your coworkers? That's exactly what the situation this next caller is dealing with, and I walk her through a few steps to hopefully resolve the issue in some way. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel to hear me coach more live callers just like this one. Ray, welcome to the show. How can I help you today?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm having a lot of troubles with my manager currently, so I wanted to ask you about that. I currently work at a steakhouse and I'm kind of new to the job. I've only been here for a couple weeks, but I feel sort of like my manager's kind of neglecting giving me information that my other coworkers already have, and I've missed training because they haven't scheduled my training yet, and every time I ask a question to my manager, she seems really annoyed with me, and I'm getting singled out for doing things that my other coworkers are doing too. It doesn't seem to be a problem when they do it, but when I do it, it's an issue, and I feel like I'm missing a lot of information, and I keep on going around and asking questions, and I'm not really getting the information that I need. And I've been talking to my coworkers about this issue, and they don't have the same experience with that manager, but they see the way that she's acting towards me, and they've been telling me like, oh yeah, you should be getting your training, soon after you get the job. But I had it scheduled like a few months out from getting the job, so I haven't even had my training yet, and it feels very weird to me, and I don't understand sort of why I'm being treated that way and why this is happening.
Yeah. So it seems like she's got some sort of bias against you a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like it. And I really, I try to be on her best side because that's my manager. And so,
Yeah.
I try to do everything right. I try to ask questions and just really sort of keep my head down a little bit, especially because I'm new. But it doesn't seem to work out no matter what I'm trying to do.
Has there been any opportunity to just kind of have a friendly conversation with her at any point? Has there been any like moments like that?
Not really, which is also weird to me and my other coworkers. So I'm a host at this job, and
Yeah.
I'm at the host stand with like 3 to 4 other coworkers, and so my manager will come up and she's very friendly with the rest of them. Like they're pretty close at this restaurant, so everyone's kind of friends with each other, and I've gotten along great with everyone else, but just not that manager. So she has friendly conversations with my other coworkers and jokes around, and then turns to me and it gets very serious all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? I mean, she's definitely, there's something going on for her. It's probably not about you, but she's projecting something onto you. Who knows why? So I'm curious, a lot of times when these kinds of things happen, when someone kind of starts feeling like they're biased against a particular individual, I always try to suggest that you build a little bit more of a foundation in the relationship and see if you can get past it without having to necessarily let her know and have like a difficult conversation and maybe make her uncomfortable. Maybe there's an opportunity to have just a little bit more of a friendliness between you. That's why I was asking if she's friendly at all. But do you think that there would be a way to invite her, maybe before the shift starts or something, or on some other day, or, hey, can we come in 30 minutes early? Would love to just like pick your brain and get your advice about working here or something like that. Like just something where you could ask her to sit with you for 30 minutes outside of like, your shift hours, and just maybe ask her advice or get her guidance on something and make her feel like you're looking up to her in some way. And so that way she feels like, oh, this person's actually, because who knows what it could be an insecurity in her, or she's defensive for some reason. Who knows what it is? But sometimes when you ask someone for advice or for guidance, it shows that you're willing to be a little vulnerable, and it also helps them break down their guard a little bit too with you. Curious if do you think there's an opportunity for something like that?
Actually that's a pretty good idea. There might be something to that. I think I'm not sure, how she got closer with my other coworkers and sort of like how those relationships developed, but it might just be like a trust thing. Like I need to get to know her more, and then we have that trust, and then we can communicate easier, and I can get on her good side maybe. So I think that's honestly a pretty good idea. I guess I haven't thought about that because I was like, oh well, I don't want to seem like I'm reaching forward too much and in a professional setting, but I think maybe some people would appreciate that sometimes.
Especially if someone's feeling insecure, a lot of times they want to feel like this person maybe looks up to me, or she does admire me in some way. And because, so maybe she's wanting to know that you respect her or something like that, and she's not sure yet. And it's nothing to do with you. It's just her perception. And so by helping her see, hey, I do respect you. I want some of your guidance. I'd love for some of your support. What I would suggest is if you have an opportunity to say, hey, I've got a few questions. I would really love your guidance on these because I think you could give me a lot of guidance, or I'd love your advice on these. Can you take 10 minutes before our shift with me and maybe just grab a quick coffee or something like that? And if you had like a list of like 3 or 4 questions that you could ask her that made you maybe a little bit vulnerable and also helped her feel like you really respect her word, her advice, her guidance to the point where you're asking her these. Do you want to try something like that?
Yeah, actually, I think that might be a really good idea. Yeah, because I know that she has the potential to like have connections like this. So
Yeah.
I've seen it with my other coworkers, and I've seen it with other people at the restaurant. So that was my biggest problem, because I'm like, I know it's not that she's just a cold person necessarily, but like
Right.
there's some sort of disconnect going on. So I think that might really help us sort of get over that hill.
Yeah. Like, hey, I can see how experienced you are and you've got great relationships here, and I would love to learn from you. And I've got a few questions. Can I ask you a couple questions to get your advice? Something like that. That is always a good first step to help break down someone's wall a little bit and get them to feel more like, oh, this is a person that respects me and I can have a relationship with in some way.
Yeah, you're right. It kind of makes me think about it differently, because I'm like, well, maybe, just trying to keep my head down and not really interact too much, maybe that had the opposite effect that I was trying to go for.
Could make her feel like you don't respect her, or you don't really care about getting to know her, or you're not interested in her guidance, and so she's kind of closed off too.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Awesome. Well, let's try that, and please feel free to come back on and let us know how it goes. And I would love to hear if you improve the relationship or if it doesn't improve, and how things go from there.
Yeah, thank you. No, it really gives me a different perspective, because I was totally going the opposite direction. So I think that would definitely be a great thing to try. So thank you.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Ray. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Peacebuilding with Dr. Pollack show. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more workplace conflict advice. Share on social media if you think your friends and colleagues would benefit from this episode. And if you have a workplace conflict and want to be a caller on our show for free coaching and advice, please email podcast@pollackpeacebuilding.com. Thanks.